Well, guys, it's happening exactly what we talked about and many people talked about online about the whole debacle of the industry plant Mixtape. And you may ask, what was the problem? Well, the fact that the original plan was to nominate this game to be a Game of the Year contender. And many of us said that that's potentially the original goal. This was an industry plan. You guys know that the game received funding from the fifth richest man in the world. As you guys know, Larry Ellison is the father of one of the investors, which is Megan Ellison. But that's I guess something you guys already knew, right? Now, in this particular hit piece by Polygon, it says it all. This is what they say, right? Mixtape might be too toxic to be a Game of the Year contender. For such a simple proposition, things have gotten awfully complicated, right? And this one here, this is crazy, right? Mixtape was a legit GOTY contender, then it became too toxic. Now, this is where people, of course, are saying, shut your mouth, this is not what's happening here. This was a plant, gamers caught it, gamers called it out, and now it's pretty obvious. As soon as Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Pop here, this is a really good answer. No, it wasn't. Nothing about this game makes it a Game of the Year contender. I swear I have you guys even play the game, or just your guys just sit there and give crappy games the IGN treatment. Give a shitty game a great review and accept the money. Dang, someone really wrote all those words just to sim to the failed industry plant, right? That's crazy, right? It was never a contender, you clowns. Pressing X to see failed theater kids nostalgia slop isn't a game. It was basically a movie that you can slightly interact with. I only enjoyed throwing stones in the water. If it were just a movie without interaction, it would have gotten 3 out of 10 from me. Like, okay, we got it and watched Malcolm in the middle growing up. Why though? Why does nobody talk about the lazy writing? Most of the game Stacy is just fourth wall exposition dumping. They don't really let you think about what's going on, or they tell you. The game has absolutely zero player agency, should have just been a movie. I mean, yeah, crazy, right? I don't want you to go this far, but you asked for it. This is from a site that every game industry people know. Glaring issues, over 100k sold, but average concurrent players 552. Right people buy the game but decide not to play. Over 6,000 reviews. No one played yet, there are the reviews. That's very, very bizarre. Of course, we have more here. Toxic way to gaslight. It's not an indie game. That's a disservice to many indie developers. And we're gonna see now some stats because it's crazy. Hell, it's hardly a playable game. Feels and music aren't a video game. It's a film. Damn it. No, a 3-hour barely interactive experience is not a GOTY contender. Nor is one that would not be successful without GP. Just stop with Mixtape. It was never what you all said it was. Right? I mean, people are literally just saying, no, you are wrong. This was never a GOTY contender ever in the history. By toxic, they mean too many people talked about the Larry Ellison connections and voided their rampant shilling. That's exactly the problem here. That's the toxic. This is the toxic situation in one single comment. This is exactly what has happened, right? This game is barely even a 2 out of 10. That's right. Insane, right? So look at this one here, because this is crazy. So it looks like not only Mixtape got funding from Larry Ellison's daughter, the fifth richest man on the planet, it seems they also got funding from the Australian taxpayers' money via the government. How quaint, very indie, right? And we have this one here. So Mixtape's song licenses were paid in perpetuity. What does this mean? Basically, that they will never have any licensing issues with the music in the future ever, right? So this is what from Rocksolid. This is a very good post because, guys, it's super expensive. I think people know this is expensive, but I don't think most people understand just how expensive this is. A perpetuity license price ranges from 50,000 to 500,000 per song, which puts the 26 songs at an estimate between 1.3 million and 13 million. Now, nearly all the songs in the game were popular hits from the 80s or 90s, so it's safe to assume that the cost is in the mid-higher range, potentially looking at, I know, 10 million or 8 to 10 million, right? Which is crazy. Now, Hollow Knight was made of a total budget of about $500,000 max. That's enough to buy you perpetuity for 1 or 2 songs in Mixtape. Let me just repeat that. These guys, these people at Mixtape, right? I was saying it's coming here. If I see one person call this shit indie, I'm gonna slap you out of here. Because, I mean, come on. This game, man, they paid, all right, millions of dollars for just the freaking music. Where the hell do you get that money from an indie developer? You cannot. Nobody's gonna do that. A game that exceeds AAA budget like Mixtape should ever be considered an indie game. What are people who say that are smoking? That's right. This was never an indie project. It was also received government funding from Australia. Right? Yeah. This is crazy. Sinister 2, 2,400 people. Mixtape 500. Although Mixtape released a few days ago though, so obviously you can't really compare it. But anyway, guys, this is exactly what we're talking about. So the whole plan, this was the plan, this was the game plan. The game plan was effectively launch the game, get rave reviews from the shills, from the media, get IGN to give it 10 out of 10, then the game explodes, then everyone's like, oh, this is art, this is amazing, this is the best thing since Expedition 33, right? And kind of like try to push the gaslighting, so then eventually the game gets nominated for Game of the Year. What happened is that people are not idiots, people investigated into this, and they saw that the shilling was really hard, and the fact that the game has received a lot of investment, of course, from, private investors such as Larry Ellison, who's the dad of Megan Ellison. Okay, so yeah, Annapurna is an entertainment company funded by Megan Ellison in 2011, specializing in film production, video games, television production, distribution, marketing, and finance. So Annapurna is almost like doing a bit of everything effectively, right? And yeah, it's kind of like the pet project. So this is the pet project of Megan Ellison. She has so much money. I mean, that's the thing. Do you think they made any profit with this game? Let's just be honest. Let's just go to SteamDB. Let's go to SteamDB for a second right now. Let's just go to Mixtape. Let's see the sales. Do you believe that with this amount of sales, right, 100,000 copies, they made all their money back? Like, even just the licensing cost them 10 million, right? So they literally lost money with this game. They lost a ton of money, but they don't care. Why they don't care? Because this was never an indie game. It was the pet project of a very rich person. They just made this for fun, basically. And the shills in the industry, such as IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, all these major organizations, they tried to gaslight people into saying, oh no, this is one of the best games ever made in history, this is a 10 out of 10, this is a perfection, this is like, oh, such a good game. Whereas literally, yeah, I mean, it has maybe some good stuff into it, but a 10 out of 10, it is insulting, especially because in the game, sometimes there are parts of the game, like, you know, this part here or this part here, right? There's literally entire sections of the game where you have to do literally nothing, like nothing at all, because the game plays by itself, right? And that's the thing. Of course, you have to move around a bit and press X sometimes, right? And do other bits and bobs, right? But in the general, the game pretty much is on autopilot and it's very short. So, and then you have this, right, which is the quintessential shilling of 2026. Mixtape might be too toxic to be Game of the Year, and it's because, of course, of the toxic gamers. That's right. The article goes on to say, oh, it's because, you know, people are raising conspiracy theories about this, right? Like, it's almost like people, it's because of the gamers, it's because they just exaggerate, right? The whole article is basically trying to kind of like accuse gamers that it's our fault because this game is not going to be Game of the Year, and it's because people are toxic, right? Which is effectively not the case whatsoever. The game itself, it's toxic. The actual game is toxic because it's trying to pretend it's a game when it's actually not a game. Shit like this is why you have nearly 1 million followers and yet next to no post interaction. I'm surprised you guys didn't completely go out of business last year. And that's exactly the problem. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Right? 88,000 views, 75 likes. That's a crazy, crazy ratio. That's insane. If you think about it, that's insane, right? Like, nobody likes these things. Like, nobody likes the posts. Everyone's like, what the hell are you talking about? The fact that all these independent gaming journalists keep parroting the same talking points show you how captured gaming as hobby actually is by malignant forces and millennial tourists who couldn't make Hollywood. That's right. That's the problem. This is it. This is it. This is IGN. There we go, right? This is IGN, this is Mixtape, this is exactly what's happening right now in front of us. A crazy display of madness. A legit GOTY contender. This is just rage bait. Exactly. My friends, we have reached 2026 with a new peak of, I would say, idiocracy, or I don't know, stupidity, potentially, right? Yeah. 50 likes, PP Gobbling, Highguard isn't dead on arrival, Polygon Arch that back for the plant thrives inside you, Mixtape, the Ellison-funded AstroTurfed mostly input optional walking sim was GOTY contender in GTA 6 year if your opinions are paid for. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. So don't be cowards. Outlets and journalists get 90% of the voting power. If you want this to be GOTY, then do it. It'll just be further signal boost how unserious the Game Awards are. Most people only watch to see Geoff whore himself out to add buyers for 92% of the runtime anyways. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, if they want to make this Game of the Year, they could make it. The problem is now is that they're stuck between a wall and a sword. Because if they make now this Game of the Year, it will be so obvious that that's a plant that they cannot recover from this. So any shred of credibility the journals would have, all these websites, would be completely destroyed. And that's why they cannot do it anymore, because if they would do it, it would just cause mayhem and they will just be called out like crazy. And again, like I said before, they will lose all credibility forever. So guys, that's it for today's video on this one. Crazy stuff, man. Even the thought of actually mentioning that this could be a GOTY contender is just beyond absolute madness. As always, I shall see you all in the next videos. Bye.